In this video, we are going to see the highest response ratio scheduling in operating system. This highest response ratio next scheduling is a non-preemptive scheduling. This provides the benefits of the shortest job first scheduling algorithm and also removes the limitations of the shortest job first scheduling algorithm. In this scheduling, the object jobs is the scheduling of jobs is implemented on the basis of an additional parameter called as the response ratio. We can calculate the response ratio for every available process in the queue, and the process which has the highest response ratio will have the highest priority to execute. Response ratio is calculated with the formula response ratio is equal to W plus S divided by S, where W is the waiting time and S is the service time or burst time. We can know the process of scheduling using an example of 5 processes with their arrival time and burst time. Initially, at time 0, process P1 will be there in the ready queue. So the process P1 completes its execution. Then after that, P1 at time 3, that is P1's burst time is 3. So we can see at time 3, only process P2 will be there. So P2 will be executed since OS did not have any other option. Then P1 and P2 completes its execution at time 10. So the process we can see P3, P4, P5 will be there in the ready queue. So to schedule the next process after P2, we can calculate the response ratio according to this particular scheduling algorithm. So the response ratio for P3 is calculated as the waiting time plus service time divided by the service time. Waiting time is calculated like 10 minus 4, that is at this stage when P3 enters the CPU, the waiting time of P3 will be 10 minus its arrival time. So like this it is calculated, and similarly for all the other processes it is calculated. Here we find the process P4 has the highest response ratio. So process P4 is scheduled after P2. Then we have P3 and P5 which are in the ready queue. So again we calculate the response ratio for P3 and P5. So at this time when P3 enters the execution, the waiting time will be 12 minus 4, that is P1, P2, P4 finishes its execution at time 12. So we are taking 12 minus its arrival time is 4. So like this P5 also is calculated, and now we can see P3 has the highest response ratio. So P3 will be scheduled next, and the only process P5. Here we can see the Gantt chart which depicts the sequence of processing like P1, P2, P4, P3, P5 as we already saw, and then P5 completes its execution at time 21. Then based on the formulas for turnaround time and waiting time, we can calculate the turnaround time and waiting time for all the processes based on this sequence of this particular scheduling algorithm. And this is the completed thing for the turnaround time, waiting time calculation. This completion time can be got from the Gantt chart, and the turnaround time and waiting time can be found by the formulas, and after that average waiting time can be calculated, and average turnaround time can also be calculated. Then we move on to the advantages and disadvantages of highest response ratio next scheduling. This here the performance of this scheduling is better than the shortest job first scheduling, and it also reduces the waiting time of longer jobs and also encourages shorter jobs. This increases the throughput. Then here the disadvantage will be the overhead on process will occur. That is, process will have much overload. Subscribe to my channel if you feel contented.